Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to 31 Days of Cutfiles. Today we have our final cut file, which is this bubbly looking piece. I don't even remember what this one was called, but it's really cool. I love that it's a background and it's big. And then we also provided you the frame that went around the outside of it. I'm not using the frame today, but I'm just using the inside. And I've pulled out some liquid watercolor to kind of finish off the month of Messy Mondays using a little bit more watercolor. So I have some water with some dish soap in it. And then I added some watercolor to it. And I am picking up the pigment with the bubbles. This is a technique that I think a lot of people may already know about, but maybe haven't tried. It's really kind of cool. I like the way that it came out. But I wasn't really sure what I was doing because I've never done it before. And I liked it on my test piece, but I went a little bit kind of crazy and I added some pigment to the top of the bubbles because they weren't quite as bold as I had wanted. And then I also played around with adding a little acrylic paint. I think normally people use acrylic paint with this method. And I thought, well, maybe it's not picking up the pigment because I didn't put any acrylic paint in there. So I just put some white because I didn't want to change the color a lot. It just kind of softened it a little bit, which was okay. But I don't end up adding any paint to the pink or the green. I just add it to the blue, and then I added a little bit more of the watercolor to give it a little bit more of a vibrant color. And then I've also, I'm using a straw to blow in it to make the bubbles. And I'm liking how it's looking to some extent, but it's not quite bright enough, and this is where it goes really dark. So I left it that way. I didn't go and recut my cut file. I think what I needed to really do, instead of adding more pigment, I needed to let the paper sit there for a little bit longer so that it would pick up the pigment. It would soak in a little bit more. And I learned that as I went here, I just played around with some of the color and added took my time a little bit more. I know it doesn't seem like I'm taking my time, but I am actually taking a little bit more time. The video is sped up quite a bit, so you're not seeing every moment, or how long you're seeing every moment. You're just not seeing how long I let it sit there because it is sped up. But you can see that I'm adding more. I did not add any white pigment to any of these. I did use 3 different sizes of cups because I wanted my bubbles to be different sized. And at the end of the day, I do end up loving how it looks, even though some of them are a little bit darker than others. But instead of wasting all of that extra pigment that I've added to my bubbles, I am adding more to these little photo mats. These are just the cheap ones from Hobby Lobby. They're 6.5 by 4.5. And so I'm going to do a bunch of those because I have another set of photos for the other kids that I take care of for their albums. I'm just doing the one for the middle one today. So what happened was we went to this park. It's the same park that has the airplane at it if you've been watching my channel. And it also has the carousel. But there was another group, a play group there that had these big 5-gallon buckets, like a Home Depot sized bucket of bubbles, and they had the bubble, I'm going to call them a bubble wand, but it has a rope on the end. Like you have 2 wands with a rope that connects, 2 ropes that connect it, and that's how you make your bubbles. You're going to see that in the photos. And so they invited us over to try them out and play with them. And so that's what they're doing in the photos. And so I wanted to document that. I thought it was really cool and fun. So I thought I would give this bubble technique a try just to see how it worked. And of course, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't end up using it. But I do have the option of recutting the cut file if I wanted to, but I decided to leave it, and I do like how it turned out. But as I mentioned before, I'm not going to waste the bubbles here. I'm going to go ahead and do a bunch of these little sheets because these can be used for mixed media down the road, or they could be used for the other kids' layouts. And I think they look really cool. And they are a lot of fun. I will tell you that it does get everywhere on your desk if you fill your cup a little bit too full. The blue one is definitely too full. You don't need so much in there to create the bubbles because they bubble up, obviously, when you're blowing in there. And I spilled quite a bit of it outside onto my glass mat, which was fine. My glass mat's super easy to clean up. but you do definitely need a spray bottle of water and a dry cloth or paper towel to wipe it up, because otherwise there's like a soap slick on your desk. So note to self, don't put so much in there, like maybe even just a quarter of the way full or less works just fine, because those bubbles grow quite a bit. So I did pull out my ephemera from 49 and Market's Spectrum Sherbet collection. Yes, I still have more of that, but I pulled out the warm and the cool colors because they go really well with the colors I've got going on my layout. The colors that I chose were based off of her shirt. And then the wands are green, and so is the grass in the background. And then I had to pull in some pink because she's a girly girl compared to, or out of the girls, she is the girly girl. So that's what I decided to do. And then I'm just trying to figure out some layers to layer up. I'm also trying not to cover up the bubbles in the photos, and I know that's hard to see on your screen, but there are some big bubbles on the photos, not as big as her sister. She had a little bit of a harder time figuring out exactly how to do it, and she is the cautious child out of the three, and I think that was part of it. She was overthinking it just a little bit, and also, you know, when she would go in to dip into the 5-gallon bucket, she'd be very tentative in pulling it out and then waiting for the other kids to move out of her way, and a lot of her bubble syrup, I'm going to call it bubble syrup, her bubbles would drip off of her rope, and then so she didn't have as easy of a time as the older one did, because she's kind of like a bull in a china shop. She just dips in there and goes for it, and if somebody's in her way, they better move. And so anyway, it was a fun thing for them to do, and they had a great time doing it, of course, so I wanted to document that for them. I am inking up everything with some black soot distress ink just to kind of make it pop, because the background does have quite a bit of color on it, and I think it looks really cool to have everything have a little bit of pop to it, and that's why I also backed my cut file with a black cardstock. I also backed the 2 photos with black cardstock just to give them some pop. And I'm liking how that's looking. I'm using my liquid glue to kind of put everything together, and then I do actually use my stapler to kind of hold everything together, because I know I'm going to be using staples to hold the butterflies in place. So I wanted to make sure that I have the butterflies. I wanted to just play off of the idea that the butterflies are stapled on, so I'm stapling some other bits and pieces. That's basically what it comes down to. Now, last week I used some silk ribbon or maybe it was just a couple days ago. It's all running together at this point, but I'm using some silk ribbon to top the holes of the tags. That's what they're called, the tags on this layout. So it's the same silk ribbon. I'm almost out of the black, and I think I'm going to have to end up getting some more of that, because I really like the way that it ends up looking. And while I do that, remember there are a bunch of people playing along with, well, I don't know if a bunch of people, there are some other people playing along with 31 Days of Cutfiles, and obviously this has been going on all month long. This is our last cut file for the month, and MK's link to her channel is down below, as well as the playlist. So if you've missed any of the videos so far, or you've missed any of our friends' videos, they should be in that playlist, so you can go and check them out easily. I don't know that there's a lot of product on this layout that is still available, so there's not going to be a whole lot of links down below for you, just the basic tools that I use. And I don't know, I don't know if any of the watercolor is still available or not. I did purchase that at my local store, but if I find it on any of the websites that I normally use, I will link it down below as well. And those watercolors are from Ecoline, but you know, any watercolor, liquid watercolor would work. You could probably also take a dry watercolor and add a bunch of water to it and let it get really juicy and pigmented, and then pick that pigment up with your paintbrush and stir it into a little bit of water before you add the soap, because that would allow you to have some pigment in your water but not transfer the soap back into your watercolor in case you wanted to add more. Hopefully that makes sense. So you could also use re-inker for this. That would probably work really well. And of course acrylic paints work also. I think that's normally the method most people use, is the acrylic paint. But in this case, because we are doing Messy Monday with watercolor all month long, I wanted to try it with the watercolor and see if it actually worked. And as you can see here, it did, including the pink and the green, which I didn't add any acrylic paint to. So it worked very well. You just need to give it a moment for the paper to absorb the bubbles. And I could easily see with those photo mats, when I put it over the cup with the bubbles on it, I could see it actually wicking in from the back side. I could see a ring around the circle that it was picking up, which to me told me it was getting a good saturation level, and it was going to give me a good outline of the actual ring rather than just some splotchiness. So I'm liking how this is all coming together. I am making sure I've got some butterflies on there, because I've used one in a couple of the tag areas, so I'm just balancing it out with the color. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different and a little bit on the messy looking side, but I do kind of like it, and I think it looks really cool. And bubbles are messy, so you know, let's go with that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed 31 Days of Cutfiles. Don't forget the links are down below in case you missed anything. I'll be back real soon with another video for you. Take care and have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.